All right, so here is the next topic in Unit 4 videos. Just going over evaluating function notation. Hopefully this is going to be a relatively short video. Don't have a ton of notes to go over here as well. So I'm going to go forward here. So function notation up here, what it says at the top, it's essentially, what it says right here, it's a way to name functions, okay? So basically, if you're dealing with like a problem where you have multiple equations, you know, it's a way to kind of identify them. So just kind of, you know, right here, f of x, you know, f in parentheses x, that's not multiplying x by f. That's basically saying our whatever, it's essentially saying we're naming the equation f, and the variable that we're going to use in that equation is x, okay? Now, when we do f of 7 right here, that basically is a fancy way of saying, hey, whatever equation f of x is, or whatever equation f is, plug the 7 in, okay? So let's work it out here. So we have f of x is equal to 3x minus 8, and we need to find f of 7. So basically what this means is that we just need to take this f of 7 and plug it in for this x right here, okay? I don't need to do anything with this f of x here. I don't need to do anything with this f of 7. All that I need to do is plug the 7 into this x here. So let's go ahead and do that. 3 times 7 minus 8, it's going to be 21 minus 8, which is 13. And that is all you need to do for that problem. Just plug the 7 in for the x, get out the number there, okay? Okay, so a couple other examples here. So these ones technically aren't in your notes. I would there's a few examples here not in your notes. However, I would highly recommend that you guys jot these down somewhere. I think these, especially these last two examples, these are going to come in handy a lot for you guys. So first off, example 2 here. What I need to first look at, it's h of 8. So I need to identify which equation that I'm going to use. I'm going to use this one, or this one, or this one. And, well, it's h, so I'm going to use this equation, okay? So I'm going to write it in black ink there. So I'm just going to rewrite it. So h of 8, I'm going to plug in an 8 wherever I have an x. So it's literally going to be 1/2 times 8 plus 3. If I do the 1/2, or no, excuse me. 1/2 multiplied by 8, that's the same as doing 1/2 times 8 over 1, which is 8 divided by 2, which is 4. So it's going to be 4 plus 3 is equal to 7. Right? And that's literally it right there. Let's go on to this one. Working with f, try to find which equation you're working with. It's not the one that we just worked with. This one's g. Nope, it's the f of x. That's the equation I'm going to use. That's the equation I'm going to plug it into. So again, you just take this number here, -2, and we plug it in wherever we have an x. We might have multiple x's. You know, we might have 1 or 2 x's. We plug it in wherever we see an x at. So I'm going to take that -2, I'm going to plug it into my equation. 9 times -2 squared plus 7. -2 squared is just 4 times 9, which is 36, plus 7 is 43, and that is all that I need to do for this right here. All right, that is all that I need to do. I don't really need to do anything with that f of -2. This is essentially just telling me, a fancy way of telling me, hey, plug -2 into the equation by the f, okay? Now, g of m for m, all right, so this one right here. So there's going to be times where it's not just a number that you plug in. You might have a variable to plug in, but the same rules still apply. We're going to take this variable, the whole thing, the number times the variable, and plug it in for our x, all right? Now I'm using g, so I'm going to be using this equation right here. So the g of x equals -3x minus 1. So I plug it into here, -3. Wherever I have an x at is going to be my stuff in the parentheses. So it's going to be the 4m minus 1. And then when you multiply it, and then we basically simplify it out, -3 times 4m, that just gets you a -12m. The -1 doesn't change, and that's basically it, okay? And last but not least, h of a minus 4. Again, I'm going back to the original equation, the one I did right over here. So again, I'm going to take everything that I have that I have in my parentheses, my whole thing, and I'm going to plug it in to my equation up here for all my x's. So I have a 1/2 multiplied by an x that I'm going to substitute in an a minus 4, and then a plus 3. All right, and then from there, remember, we take our 1/2 out front here, we distribute it in there. This turns into 1/2 times a, which is just 1/2 a. 1/2 times a negative 4 is just, well, it's just going to be a negative 2 plus 3. I simplify, combine my like terms. I don't have any a's to combine, but this negative 2 and 3 will combine to give me plus 1, okay? All right, so I know a couple of those weren't in your notes, but I highly recommend you write them down, especially these ones with the variables, so you kind of have an idea of what to do when you see those, because I can guarantee you at least one of those will be on your test, okay? All right, so I'm going to pause the video real quick and set up another slide, and I will get back to you in just a second. Okay, so here is another, this is going to be the last example. Again, this isn't really in your notes, but this is essentially kind of something I was seeing kind of on your homework assignments that I was seeing a lot of people struggle with, so I just kind of wanted to go over it once again. So basically, find n if v of n is equal to 188 and v of n is equal to 2n minus 24. Now, I know that kind of is, I think in your problem, it was probably saying if, you know, v of n was equal to, and then we write our equation there, the 2n minus 24. If v of n is equal to 2n minus 24, find n such that v of n is equal to 188, okay? So, and again, this one was stumping a few people, but I just kind of want to go over it. Basically, you want to find n, you want to find a value in your original equation here so that this whole thing, because remember, this whole thing right here is v of n, you want to find that this whole thing is equal to 188. So how will we do that? We just set them equal to each other. So we do 2n minus 24 is equal to 188, and then from there it just turns into a solving, you know, linear equation that we've worked out many a times. Let's see here. This turns into 12, turns into 11, turns into 212, 2n divided by 2, n turns into, let's see, I believe it's going to be 106. N turns into 106. Now again, this one, I was seeing a lot of people wanting to plug in this 188 to this n. That's not what we do. Again, it's only what is inside the parentheses, that's when we plug in a number, okay? If there's nothing, if it basically says something like this, where v of n is equal to a number, and it gives us what the v of n, the equation is, it basically wants us to set that number equal to the equation and then solve for n. Okay? Okay, so that is basically my function notation video. Again, that's a really short topic. Just kind of want to make it brief and short. I will have the next video up real soon. Thank you.